Most people spend their entire lives chasing income without ever stopping to ask a deeper question. What kind of income is this? And what kind of life does it allow me to live? We are taught from childhood to measure success by the size of a paycheck, yet rarely are we taught to examine the hidden cost behind it, because not all income is created equal. Some buys you comfort, while others trap you in invisible chains. Some gives you freedom, while others silently rob you of your time, your health, and even your dreams. Think about it. Two people can earn the same amount of money and yet live worlds apart. One is exhausted, drained, and stuck in routines that consume every hour of their day. The other has space to breathe, to think, to invest in relationships, to grow. The difference isn't in the number, it's in the model of income that sustains them. And this is where most people misunderstand wealth. They believe making more is the answer. But more of the wrong kind of income only deepens the trap. A higher paycheck can still mean dependence, burnout, and fragility if the structure of that income is weak. On the other hand, even moderate income, if built the right way, can create a life of stability, choice, and dignity. What truly matters is not how much flows into your account, but how it flows. Does your income stop the moment you stop working? Does it buy you only survival, or does it open doors to something greater? Does it leave you exhausted, or does it give you the strength to build a future? The journey of income, then, is not only financial, it is existential. It is about designing a life where money serves you, not the other way around. Because income is not just a number. It is the architecture of your freedom, the measure of your options, and the silent force that defines how much of your life truly belongs to you. Level 1. Survival income. The wise man is rich with little, for he desires nothing beyond what is enough. Seneca. The first stage of income is survival. It is not glamorous, and it is not secure. It is the most fragile form of living. Survival income is when your earnings barely cover the essentials: rent, food, transportation, and utilities. There is no margin for error, no cushion for emergencies, and certainly no room for luxuries. Every paycheck already has a destination before it arrives, and any unexpected event, a broken car, a medical bill, even a delayed payment, can tip life into chaos. At this level, income is linear and limited. You trade hours directly for money, and when the hours stop, so does the income. The rhythm is relentless: work, spend, repeat. It can feel like running on a treadmill, always moving but never advancing. Quality of life here is defined not by freedom, but by survival. You measure success not by thriving, but by making it through the month. This form of income has a profound psychological cost. Living in survival mode narrows your vision. When all your energy is consumed by paying the next bill, there is little left for creativity, growth, or long-term planning. Anxiety becomes constant. Every decision feels heavy because there is no safety net to fall back on. Even when opportunities arise, they often cannot be pursued because the immediate need to earn overrides the ability to invest in the future. The Stoics spoke often about freedom being tied to the things you can control. Yet in survival income, control feels absent. Your time, your choices, even your emotions are dictated by necessity. Epictetus reminded his students that true freedom is inner, but he also warned that external hardship makes philosophy difficult to practice. When you are exhausted by scarcity, it is hard to think of virtue when the rent is due tomorrow. But survival income, though harsh, offers lessons. It teaches the real value of money. Every cent counts, every decision matters. It highlights the difference between needs and wants in the most brutal way. Those who endure this stage often develop resilience, adaptability, and resourcefulness, qualities that can become powerful allies when used to climb toward higher levels of income. The danger lies in staying here permanently. Many internalize the belief that this is all life can be. They accept survival as destiny, convinced that freedom or abundance are reserved for others. This mindset becomes its own prison, locking people into cycles of low-paying work and short-term thinking. Without conscious effort, survival income becomes not just a financial condition, but an identity. To begin moving beyond this stage, one must create even the smallest gap between earning and spending. It might mean building a modest savings buffer, learning a new skill, or finding a way to generate a side stream of income. These tiny steps are not just financial, they are psychological victories. They prove that the treadmill can be slowed, that there is life beyond survival. Survival income is the bottom of the ladder. Everyone starts here at some point, but it should never be the final destination. It is the hardest level, but also the most important, because it forces clarity. It makes you see, with undeniable sharpness, that income is not simply about money, it is about how much of your life you truly own. And until you escape survival, your life belongs more to necessity than to you. Level 2, specialized income. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. The second stage of income begins when survival gives way to stability through specialization. Here, you are no longer trading unskilled hours for the bare minimum. Instead, you exchange refined skills, knowledge, or expertise for higher compensation. This is the domain of doctors, lawyers, engineers, consultants, designers, and countless other professionals who have invested years in building rare or valuable capabilities. Specialized income lifts you out of the constant anxiety of survival. Bills are no longer battles, they are managed with more ease. The paycheck stretches further, often allowing for comforts, better housing, quality healthcare, vacations, or savings. This stage offers not just more money, but a sense of dignity and pride. You are valued for what you know, not just for the hours you endure. Yet this model carries its own limitations. Specialized income is still tied to presence. A surgeon cannot perform operations while on vacation. A consultant cannot bill hours without showing up. A lawyer cannot plead cases while sleeping. The income may be higher, but the underlying equation is the same: time traded for money. And as long as time is the foundation, the ceiling remains fixed. Quality of life at this stage often improves, but it can also be deceptive. Many professionals at the height of specialized income find themselves overworked, overwhelmed, and chronically stressed. Burnout is common, because the very expertise that brings higher income also brings higher demand. The more skilled you are, the more people want your time. And because your income depends on that time, it becomes hard to say no. This stage teaches a critical truth. Expertise brings power but not freedom. It offers status, comfort, and respect, but it also deepens dependency. You may enjoy a larger house or a nicer car, but if you stop working, the income stops too. The golden handcuffs of specialization can be as binding as the scarcity chains of survival. The Stoics would caution against confusing this external success with true independence. Marcus Aurelius wrote that wealth and honor are indifferent. They do not guarantee virtue or peace of mind. Specialized income provides more options than survival ever could, but it does not erase fragility. A single health crisis, a market shift, or technological change can jeopardize years of expertise and the income it commands. Still, this level has immense value. Specialized income can create the first real margin for growth, the ability to save, to invest, to experiment. It gives you breathing room to think beyond immediate necessity, to design a future that isn't chained entirely to your presence. The trap is to confuse this stability with the final goal, rather than using it as a bridge. To move forward, the specialized professional must shift mindset from maximizing personal effort to building structures that operate beyond themselves. This may mean investing in assets, creating intellectual property, or designing systems that generate income without direct labor. Without this shift, even the most skilled individual risks living a comfortable but fragile life, always one step away from dependence. Specialized income is a powerful stage, but it is transitional. It provides comfort, dignity, and recognition, but it must not become a prison of constant demand. The lesson of this level is clear. Your skills can elevate you, but only systems can free you, and until you build income that exists beyond your presence, your quality of life will always rest on a fragile foundation of time. Level 3. Asset-based income. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. The third stage of income marks a turning point. Money is no longer earned only through your presence, but through the assets you control. At this level, income begins to detach itself from the strict equation of hours worked equals dollars earned. Instead, it flows from things that continue producing value even when you are not directly involved. Investments, real estate, royalties, dividends, or intellectual property. This shift changes everything. Survival and specialization both rest on the fragile foundation of effort. When you stop working, the income vanishes. With asset-based income, that dependence weakens. Your wealth can grow while you sleep, while you travel, or even while you take time off to reflect. It is here that many people first taste what true financial freedom might feel like. The quality of life at this stage improves dramatically because the constant anxiety of dependence begins to fade. Bills are paid not only by your labor, but also by streams of income that exist independently. For some, it might be a rental property covering the mortgage. For others, dividends that offset living costs. For artists, royalties from books or music. The form doesn't matter as much as the principle. Your money, ideas, or creations are working alongside you. But asset-based income has its own challenges. Unlike specialized income, which depends mostly on personal skill, assets require capital, discipline, and vision. You must be willing to delay gratification, to invest instead of consume. It's not easy to resist the temptation of spending in the comfort stage, and instead, channel resources into assets that will grow over time. In fact, this is why so few people make it past the second level. They choose immediate pleasure over long-term freedom. There is also risk. Markets collapse, tenants leave, royalties dry up. Assets demand stewardship. The Stoics would remind us that fortune is fickle and external things can vanish without warning. But here, philosophy becomes practical. By diversifying, by managing wisely, and by preparing for setbacks, you learn resilience not only in mindset, but also in financial structure. What matters most at this stage is not just the income assets provide, but the time they return to you. Every dollar earned without your direct labor is a piece of your life given back. It creates space to think, to grow, to choose deliberately instead of reactively. Asset-based income doesn't guarantee abundance, but it begins to unlock freedom of choice. Still, the trap here is complacency. Some believe that owning a single property or modest investments makes them safe, but partial freedom can be fragile. Without continued growth, asset-based income might only cover part of your needs. The danger is thinking the journey is complete when it has only begun. This stage is best understood as leverage. Assets amplify what you already have. If you bring discipline, they multiply stability. If you bring recklessness, they magnify chaos. Used wisely, they form the foundation for abundance. Used poorly, they create another form of dependence, one tied to debt, speculation, or illusions of security. Asset-based income is not the peak of wealth, but it is the gateway. it marks the first true departure from dependence on your own labor. It is the stage where quality of life shifts from merely surviving or specializing to building. And once you experience the liberation of money working for you, the question is no longer whether you can escape dependence. It is how far you are willing to go. Level 4, business and system income. The fourth stage of income is where freedom becomes scalable. Unlike survival, specialization, or even assets, this level is defined not by what you alone can do, but by the systems you build. Business income and system-based income create structures that generate revenue without demanding your constant presence. Instead of being the engine, you design the machine. At this level, the quality of life changes radically. No longer is your income capped by the number of hours you can work or the savings you can invest. Systems allow you to multiply your effort beyond personal limits. A business with employees, a digital platform that runs 24/7, a franchise or automated online systems. These are examples of income models that scale far beyond individual labor. The central principle here is leverage. You use people, processes, technology, or capital to extend your reach, so money flows even when you step aside. This freedom, however, does not come easily. Business and systems demand vision, strategy, and relentless discipline. Unlike asset-based income, where you can invest and wait, businesses require ongoing leadership. Teams must be built, processes refined, markets understood. It is here that character is tested. Do you have the patience to delegate, the humility to learn, and the courage to take risks? Without these, business income can become a nightmare of stress rather than a pathway to freedom. The Stoics often warned about the dangers of ambition without virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. If systems are built only to serve ego or greed, they will eventually collapse under their own weight. But when built with wisdom, systems become vehicles for creation, allowing not just personal wealth, but opportunities for others, jobs, innovations, and lasting impact. Quality of life at this level depends on balance. Business income can bring extraordinary autonomy, but it can also trap you if you refuse to let go of control. Many entrepreneurs build companies that consume them, effectively returning to survival in disguise. The key is designing systems that truly run without your constant involvement, allowing you to focus on direction rather than endless firefighting. The reward of this stage is profound. Your time begins to belong to you again. Unlike survival income, where necessity dominates, or specialized income, where expertise binds, system-based income frees you from dependence on your own presence. It allows mornings without alarms, afternoons spent on vision, and evenings dedicated to what matters most. More importantly, it allows you to amplify your impact. The danger lies in the illusion of permanence. Even systems are vulnerable to changing markets, technological disruption, or leadership failure. The Stoic approach here is vigilance. Prepare for change, adapt when necessary, and never let your identity rest solely on the system you've built. Business system income is the most demanding level so far, but also the most rewarding. It transforms income from a fragile personal effort into a structure that can grow, adapt, and endure. It is the point where wealth begins to resemble freedom in its purest form. Not freedom from work, but freedom to choose your work, your time, and your legacy. Level 5, legacy and impact income. The fifth and final stage of income is where money transcends personal use and becomes generational. Survival income sustains today. Specialized income brings dignity and stability. Asset-based income begins to free you. Business income scales your reach. But legacy income is different. It outlives you. It is income designed not just to support your life, but to carry forward your vision, your values, and your impact long after you are gone. At this level, income is no longer simply financial, it is structural and cultural. It comes from businesses that endure across generations, endowments that fund education or research, foundations that tackle social challenges, or intellectual property that continues to inspire and teach. It is income that sustains communities, families, or even entire industries, independent of your presence. The hallmark of this stage is permanence. The quality of life here extends beyond personal freedom. You have choices not only for yourself, but for others. You can invest in people, shape opportunities, and influence society at scale. Legacy income means the systems you've built keep generating value without you, creating ripples that affect lives you may never even meet. In this way, money evolves from a personal tool into a public force. Yet this stage is not without its dangers. Legacy can easily be corrupted by pride. Many build fortunes only to see them vanish within a generation because they passed down wealth without wisdom. True legacy income is not about leaving money. It is about embedding principles into structures. Without guiding values, inheritance becomes a curse, not a gift. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that power and wealth would mean nothing if not directed toward virtue. To reach this level, one must think far beyond personal comfort. It requires patience, vision, and often sacrifice. You must build not just for yourself, but for those who will come after you. That means designing systems that are resilient, leaders who can replace you, and values strong enough to withstand time. Legacy income is as much about philosophy as it is about finance. The reward is profound, a life that echoes. Legacy income ensures that your work continues to matter, that your influence endures. It shifts the central question from "how much do I earn?" to "what am I leaving behind?" The answer may take many forms: scholarships, thriving companies, cultural works, or philanthropic institutions. But the essence is the same. Your income becomes contribution. In the end, this stage represents the summit of financial evolution. From survival to legacy, the journey of income is really the journey of ownership. Ownership of your time, your choices, your future, and finally, your impact on the world. Legacy income is the stage where money stops being about you and starts being about everyone your life has touched. Income is more than numbers on a paycheck. It is the architecture of your life, the hidden force shaping your freedom, your choices, and your future. As we've seen, the journey moves through stages. Survival keeps you alive, specialization rewards your skills, assets begin to free your time, systems multiply your reach, and legacy carries your vision beyond your lifetime. Each stage is not simply about earning more, but about changing the very structure of how money flows into your life. The critical lesson is this: not all income is equal. Survival and specialization depend on your presence, locking you into constant effort. Assets and systems begin to separate money from hours, buying back time and autonomy. Legacy pushes further, turning income into continuity, impact that stretches across generations. The question then is not just how much you earn, but what kind of income you earn. Quality of life is written into these models. Survival may trap you in anxiety. Specialization may bring status, but cost you peace. Assets and systems, wisely cultivated, create freedom and stability. And legacy, built on vision, gives meaning that transcends personal comfort. At every stage, income either consumes your life or expands it. The Stoics taught that true wealth is not measured by possessions, but by the ability to live in accordance with reason and virtue. Seen through that lens, income is not the goal itself, it is the means. It is the tool that determines how much of your time belongs to necessity and how much belongs to you. So the final reflection is simple, but urgent. Which kind of income sustains your life right now? And which kind are you building toward? Because while money can always be counted, the life it creates cannot be measured in numbers alone. It is measured in freedom, in peace, and in the legacy you leave behind.